Or they're sponsoring us.
They're sponsoring, we're so big that Topo Chico is sponsoring us.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like not a big deal or anything, guys. Don't even worry about it. Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
So who am I?
Who is he?
Yeah, who am I? My name is Aaron Hartman. I am a therapist here at Witness to Love Family Counseling. I'm a good pal of Bella here. We're the good pals. And we just wanted to have conversations around the mental health space, well-being. Mm-hmm. What does that look like from a young Catholic perspective?
Yeah, that's what we're doing here.
So,
yeah. And I am Bella Bryant. I am a trauma-informed life coach here with Witness to Love Family Counseling Services. I'm also the producer of this podcast.
Yeah, you are.
Which is kind of crazy. The producer will be behind the camera and in front of the camera for the Witness to Love podcast.
We're homegrown here.
Yeah, really homegrown. My dad is also the founder of Witness to Love Family Counseling Services. And he just had a big yes about 6 years ago to bring a Catholic foundation to the counseling world of Phoenix, Arizona. And then in this past year had another big yes of just desiring to witness to the good things the Lord has done for him and for others. And that's where the Witness to Love podcast, came to life. We just ask that if you guys find our content helpful and just want to help support us, that you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're hoping to eventually have the podcast monetarily basically run itself so that we can just put more time and resources into it. And the biggest way you can help us do that is subscribing to
Smash that
YouTube
like
channel.
button.
Smash the like button.
I hate that too. I regret saying that.
I don't even think I'm going to edit it out.
No,
because you full 7.
You are the producer.
I'm the producer.
So,
I have all the power.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You can ask me to edit out. Will I? Won't I? We'll see. But yeah, I'm just excited to be here with my good pal, Aaron. We're going to be probably doing this show. We're calling it the Good Pals for right now.
Yeah, I like that.
We have been working together for over a year, about a year here at Witness, and we volunteer with Life Teen at St. Tim's together. Just as we've kind of grown in friendship and hung out, I think we're both sanguines. Yeah. Which is just going to be really fun for you guys to have a podcast with two sanguines. Yep. Am I scared for that? Yes. But am I excited about it?
Tell me more.
Yes. I'm scared for people because I just think it's just a wild ride being a sanguine. It just is. But it's really fun. So, we're going to hop on here and kind of switch off. I'm going to be kind of running the podcast today or just kind of sharing some thoughts about a topic that I've been thinking about. And then next time Aaron will. And that's just kind of how this little segment of the Witness to Love podcast is going to run. But yeah, we're just going to kind of get into it today.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about how I have experienced in the past probably year not realizing that my relationship with God has been on the rocks, and that has just kind of gotten messy. And I've been thinking about it. What does that mean? Growing up Catholic, I think a lot of Christians, we understand okay, we're supposed to have relationship with God. It's not just supposed to be I'm following all these rules and this whole thing. It's I'm having real relationship, conversation in prayer, trust and love and desire to get to know a person, spend time with them, relationship with God. And I think over the past year, I didn't really realize that through some experiences I had last year that I had started to lose trust in God. And I didn't even know it off the bat. It wasn't I don't know, some people you can have a really strong experience and have thoughts that immediately come in where you're man, I could never trust this person again.
Yeah.
Or such an immediate reaction, such a present thought. For me, it was super subconscious and I didn't even realize what was going on. So basically, it's so fun because you don't know so many things about my life. So
break it down for me. Yeah.
It's going to be really fun.
Tell me more.
Just sharing more, vulnerably things that have happened. But last year I had a romantic relationship that had started. I think you had even maybe met him. at one point. And before that, so the beginning of 2024, I took a 6-month dating fast. Never done that in my life before.
Wow.
But I just felt it was necessary, honestly, after getting out of a prior relationship, that I just really wanted to focus my time on the work I was doing. I was starting life coaching. I was really excited about that, entering into kind of a space that I had always wanted to be in, and serving in a way that I felt really passionate and excited about, and also just wanted to grow my relationship with the Lord and just spend a lot of time focusing on Him. Yeah. And it wasn't a perfect dating fast. I never do anything perfectly, and that's okay. But the intention was really there, and I was spending a ton of time in Mass, more time, going to confession weekly, and just doing different things where I was almost going to daily Mass, like most weeks, like throughout the whole week, at least 5 times a week, and just felt really invested in my relationship with God. And that it was a total like give and take relationship. Like we were both, I just felt like really entering into it, and I could hear him, and I felt close. Yeah, really close. And so when I entered into this relationship after my dating fast was over, he was really part of it. This was a Catholic man, and we both had a relationship with God, and we both really wanted him to be at the center of it, and it was really cool and really exciting. I was really excited. I had a lot of expectations. I thought maybe I'd found the one. Like all of those things were happening. And we were talking about healing and like connecting in a way that, like where we had similar life experiences, and I felt understood and seen in some things. And it was just really exciting. Even though there were things that nothing's ever perfect. And I was like, okay, like, are we connecting in all the ways that I want to connect in, and whatever, like all of that was going on. But I was very excited, and I did think, okay, this might end up in marriage. And I was really thinking about that, and that was something that we were talking about.
Maybe you guys were talking about marriage.
Mm-hmm. Not like a ton, but it was long distance. So kind of there was logistics we were thinking about within that space, and jobs and just whatever that would look like. So I think
Very
because
serious.
It was long distance and it was serious, because we were like really putting in the time and talking about all of the things, that it moved a little quicker. That maybe I don't know, maybe was prudent. There's a lot of different opinions on how timelines of relationships should go. And I don't know. I don't think there's a one size fits all. But as it started to progress, it started to get really messy. I started to kind of like lose trust in the person, because there were things that were said that weren't followed through with. And I think because I had put so much on it, and was really excited and felt like I had done all the right things. This is kind of something I've been pondering, is I felt like I had done all the right things. I was really working on healing. I was really entering into my relationship with God. We were praying together. The conversations were based in just like a love for the Lord and wanting to do things the right way. Like we just really wanted to do things the right way.
Great intentions.
Yeah, really good intentions. And then it just got, as time went on, certain things got really messy and really hard. And I found myself, like last night as I was thinking about this podcast, what feelings come up when I think about that experience? I think confusion was a big one. So I was surprised about things where I was like, oh, I didn't know that, like shocked. Like I didn't know that was going to happen.
Like about him?
About him, yeah. And just even the way our relationship went. But yeah, about him as well. And then just not feeling safe, and not safe like physically, like I was being abused or hurt in some way. I just want to be very clear about that. But just not safe like emotionally, or like this person, I don't know, if they're underseeing me in this situation, or if they can do what they say they're going to do.
And seeing the trust dissolve a little.
Yes, the trust started kind of to dissolve there. And, so just like a lot of confusion, uncertainty, very felt like out of my control, but I really wanted to make it work. So I like kept myself in an uncomfortable was another word that really came up for me. And I just remember, like, as I think about it, like my body feels a certain way. Like I felt so uncomfortable and not safe and stressed and anxious. Yeah. And it came to a head, and I had to end the relationship and move on.
Oh, wow.
But in that space of like moving on, I didn't realize that to move on, like what I felt like I had to do was harden a part of my heart, because I went into something so open, so vulnerable, hopeful, excited, feeling like I had done kind of the right things and tried to let God enter into this, and I had this relationship with him. So like I didn't think things could go wrong. You know, that kind of expectation where it's like, oh, if I do all these right things and I love well and I'm, you know, open-hearted and trying to surrender, like, then what could go wrong? Everything's going to be okay. And it wasn't okay. And it wasn't, and I also kind of want to say in regards to the relationship, obviously, like, I did not show up my best at times, and I don't want to put it all on this person, because I'm an imperfect person. Those were just kind of the feelings that I had felt, you know, from
you can only speak from your perspective.
From his behavior and from different things that happened. And at the end of the day, still like a wonderful, beautiful person who is just a son of God, who I think we just all have our faults and our imperfection. And like the way that the feminine part of me like didn't feel safe in it, that's kind of what I'm talking about.
That's an interesting, the safety piece.
Yes.
Can you open that up? When you say safe.
Yeah.
Because that word nowadays can be, I don't know. I
You're
want to know
so
what you mean
right.
by that.
You're
What do you
so
mean
right.
by safe?
Yeah. So what I mean by safe is I think there's a physical safety, right?
Sure.
Of like my boundaries are going to be respected and upheld. I think there's a emotional safety. I can go to you with something and you're going to desire to listen, and you're going to try to understand, not be defensive or angry or dysregulated. Yeah. Those are like the two main things that I think of. Like, you can protect me, respect my boundaries, and guide me well. And I trust and respect you, you know, in that space. And that's where I feel safe. And then also emotionally, I have a lot of things going on, and thoughts and feelings and emotions, and it changes throughout the month. And like, that you can kind of show up for me there and try. I don't think it's going to be perfect in either of these situations. I think there's so much grace to be given. Yeah. But that, it got to a point where the safety kind of just like wasn't there. I don't know if I'm emotionally being understood. Yeah. There's a disconnect there. Like almost, I felt this, I've experienced this in many relationships, where it just might be harder for a man to enter into that space, just if as women mature faster and just different things, or they haven't spent the time working on their interior world and their emotions, and they might have some unhealthy behaviors they've learned from their parents or whatever when it comes to emotions. And then I think a lot of people today struggle with keeping boundaries and keeping their word. Yeah. And what I kind of learned from that in regards to like moving forward in relationships and what my expectations are, is that not only do I want to be the person who, when I say something, I like keep my word. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm going to do this thing for you or whatever. And then I show up and I do it. Because I think that's what, that's how you grow in integrity. And I can only respect a man who I think has integrity. And so that's keeping your word. And I mean, I have so many woundings, and I have, compulsive behaviors and different things that I've experienced in my life where it makes those things harder, keeping your word or keeping boundaries. And I understand that. But that, to like move forward in a healthy relationship, I think it's important that someone can keep their word. And that's what makes me feel safe, is someone said this thing and they showed up and they did it. Okay. And I wasn't left guessing or wondering. And like, they can keep their promises, and that's, I can feel so safe in that, and so sure of a person. So
I see an interchange of safety and trust. Those
go
hand in hand.
Right. And so that kind of gets to where I'm going with this, is that I didn't realize that a part of my heart had been hardened to God, because I didn't realize that as I was putting him so much in my relationship and putting all of this kind of on him, things that I don't think are necessarily true. Like, oh, if I do all these right things, like God's just going to show up for me. That's not like, God's going to show up for me no matter what. What is my expectation of God showing up for me? And am I putting that on him? Am I putting my will on God? Right. And like, oh, this has to work out because I did all these things. Because I did that. And
I fasted 6 months.
Right. And because I,
went to daily mass.
And because I love him, and you've been entering into a relationship with him, and I'm trying to, right, everyone says, like, put God at the center of your relationship. That's the most important thing. And I think we were really attempting to do that, but our wounds came in to play. And sometimes your wounds can be really overpowering.
Yes.
And that's just true.
Yes.
And I think God has a perfect plan. And his will for my life was that was going to kind of happen the way that it did. I don't know if that was his kind of quote unquote will for my life, but he redirected and reoriented maybe even us not following his will to how it ended. But what I kind of took on, I think my wounded child really came out after that.
Yeah.
This part of me that like, I think has been disappointed by people who are supposed to love me in many areas of my life, show up for me, right?
Keep their word.
Right. And then I put those in, right, even primary caregivers. I have wonderful parents, but our parents fail us.
Yeah.
And that's so true.
They're human beings,
if I'm a parent someday, I will most likely fail. I have failed my parents. I have failed my siblings.
Coming to grips with the fact that you will hurt your kid one day.
Right.
Is, ooh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That could make me cry.
Okay.
It's okay. Not in like a bad way, but, and that's just like there's just sadness in there and there's grief in that. And there was grief for me realizing like my parents maybe couldn't protect me or show up for me in the way that I desired as a kid. And I felt for the first time in my life, I had never put that on God throughout my childhood or throughout my life. I think really for the
Their failures?
Their failures, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But for the first time in my life, I really think this is true. I had kind of put human failures on God.
Yeah.
And I had never done that before. I had never like been like, oh my gosh, my abuse was God's fault, or my these other hard experiences, like why did God let that happen to me? Like, does he not love me? I felt like I was always really childlike in my ability to see and hope and trust in God, and that he does show up for me and that he does love me through just experiences I've had throughout my life, and even my like own personal conversion. He just always showed up, and I just had this really childlike trust, and there's something about being sanguine in that, I think, and there's
powerful optimism.
Right, a powerful optimism, and really truly a gift that as I've grown, as my adult years have gone on, I think has dwindled and dwindled and dwindled, because when we are optimistic and hopeful and excited, and we think our life is going to turn out a certain way, and then we're disappointed and disappointed and disappointed. And I mean, and I don't want to be dramatic, but it feels like multiple times, twice a year for the past, I don't know, 5-6 years. Well, honestly, majority of my life, but really, if I grasp like the adulthood aspect of it, really disappointed in myself, in other people, a lot of it myself, just like I can't really follow through with things that I really want to follow through with, or just whatever it might be. That for the first time, I put it on myself. I was like, okay, do I not know how to choose men well? Like, can I trust myself? And then I also kind of put it on God, where I was like, this has happened so many times. I've been disappointed so many times.
Right. Like he must be involved somehow. Like this must fall on him somehow.
Or just like, why is he letting it happen? Like, I can't take it anymore. It's too much. I think I felt so overwhelmed that I didn't even, those thoughts weren't present in my brain. I didn't go to mass and think all of these things or have a prayerful moment.
But they crept up, huh?
Right. My defensive parts of myself came up and were like, God has been your rock. Like, God is your guy for so long. You can't even enter in to the feeling of disappointment that you have in regards to him right now, because that's too much. Like, you will not be able to handle it. Ooh. That didn't consciously, but as I look over, as I like think about it, I'm like, that's what happened, because my heart had to harden. Otherwise, I didn't know how to survive. Like, it would have been too much, too depressing. Like, I would have entered into a space that was just like not healthy. And so I think I had to like think in the back of my brain, like, I still have trust in God. Like, I still know things are going to be okay. I had to like be optimistic, but like I'm putting down my really valid feelings. I'm hiding them away, tucking them, putting them in a box of like, oh, can I trust God? Like, is he going to continue to show up for me? Or year after year after year, am I going to feel the same thing? Because I don't know if I can do that. Like, I don't know if I can handle that. Because I'm already really having a hard time handling it for 5 years. Like, what do you mean, 10 more years of this or whatever, It just feels really overwhelming. So just kind of realizing that, I don't want to be heretical in any way. God
Good.
is perfect. I know he's always there. He's always showing up. Logically in my brain, I know these things, right? And that this wasn't his fault, and he didn't do this to be like hurtful, or he's not thoughtful. Like maybe my experience with my parents were like they didn't even know, like they were maybe just being unthoughtful, and they didn't really know that they were hurting me in that way.
Yeah.
But God's not even like that.
Right.
He's not unthoughtful. He knows everything. He knows my heart. He knows the deepest depths of all of my desires, my fears, and everything, and is constantly trying to pour like love and mercy, and he's trying to show me that he sees me, he knows me throughout all of that. But in my brokenness, I am putting things on him where I'm saying, yeah, like you're showing up like a human. I'm giving him human attributes so that and then I'm like, I don't trust you. You can't show up for me. And through that, like if I don't trust another human being, like I will close off. I will like not know how to love them well or be grateful to them or start harboring resentment. And that's just kind of, I think, what I was doing. And I don't think there was a ton of like anger and resentment there. It was like a very small maybe amount of that, and more just like, I'm unsure now. This isn't I don't feel safe about this anymore because I don't know if I'm going to surrender again and be excited about something and get hurt again. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm just thinking about that. Like I'm sharing this story, I guess, because I wonder how many of us are experiencing that and don't even know that we've lost trust in God. Because we have parts protecting us from even feeling those things or recognizing those things. And we might be really Catholic and being like, okay, I know here, like God's perfect. He does all these things. So this feeling I have of distrust or disappointment with God, I'm not even going to validate that or look into that because somehow maybe that makes me a bad Christian.
Right.
And I'm not being grateful enough or loving enough. But like, I think God wants to validate those wounds. He doesn't want to say, he's not going to be like, yeah, I failed, whatever.
He's not
like,
going to say, I'm sorry.
He's not going to say, I'm sorry. He's going to say, I'm sorry you're wounded. I'm sorry you've had those other experiences that have now affected your relationship with me. And I don't want that for you. And I want to give you to be able to give those things to me. Yeah. And I want to do everything I can to build trust back up with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's interesting. Do you think that that's maybe true, that there might be a lot of people, especially maybe even Christians out there, because you kind of have to be a believer to trust in God.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but that like they're kind of experiencing that and they might not even know.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. Yeah. When you were talking, my own experience came up in my head, and I'm just like, wow, there are moments where I have admitted that I don't trust you, God. And it was weird and surreal. And I'm just, and however, it was awkward. And it was like, I don't know what to do with this weird, like, distrust I have with the most trustful being.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah. And so.
Like, what's the framework for this?
I think it's probably a lifelong process. Mm-hmm. God can obviously intervene supernaturally, immediately, and blossom love and trust in your heart. Mm-hmm. That's totally available for him. Yet, I think the journey of you going through the retrusting is part of that as well.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think people have to I think what's got to happen, you said something interesting. You said these parts of me were telling me I can't handle this right now. Right? Like these wild and uncomfortable feelings are too much.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's many emotions that are too much. Maybe there are. Obviously, I think there are circumstances that are way too much for a person that break people. Sure.
Right.
However, I think an authentic and just unfiltered, almost like giving it to God is vital.
Right.
because I experienced some profound healing in my own life because I was angry at God and I didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can't admit that. That's not real. That's not appropriate. That's not theologically sound. Like that's heretical.
Yes.
Even, right?
Yes, it
It's
feels
like
that way
something's
a little bit.
wrong with that.
Yeah.
Until I was like, no, I need to admit this anger,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I just went for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was exactly what I needed. Because that part of me, I mean, I felt that when I was really young.
Yeah.
Like a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there are probably moments a little kid is so angry at their parent unjustly. Like they don't get it.
Right.
But they need to kind of express that. And the parent needs to be able to take it,
Right.
you know, and walk with them and work with the kid through that.
Yeah. Attune to them a little bit and
just
see that this makes sense. Like my
from
kid doesn't.
From your perspective, that
you don't
makes
understand,
sense.
Right? The little kid doesn't understand. Then the parent's like, we're just trying to help you, or we're just trying to guide you and to help you do the right thing, which is like so much of what God is doing. And
absolutely,
we lack understanding.
Correct.
And that's so confusing. And that can be even like, I mean, we could think, why would you even create us like this? Like this is so hard, right? Like, I think
like with the lack of
understanding and like the mystery of everything and just all of the like we're in the imperfectness of us, right? Obviously, and we understand that the original sin and like it was our choice and there's all those things like that.
Well,
was
I do
not
think
God's
sin
plan for
plays
us.
a huge part in
the
darkening of your rationale and what you can actually see.
Exactly. So even that's not really logical if we have a foundation in theology where we know like, okay, it wasn't like God created us with sin.
No. Yeah. Right. You know? Exactly. Yeah.
But you can be like, why free will? But we can also understand that.
Big
We're not
questions.
getting into any of those things right now. But I think just knowing that I needed to recognize I was upset, recognize I had lost trust and felt disappointment, recognize that this wounded part of me felt really overwhelmed. Like I could even cry thinking about it right now. Like just imagining little me already going through so many things of like, oh, I'm supposed to trust somebody. Oh, man, like this person was supposed to love me and they did not love me well. And I trusted them.
They hurt you.
And they really hurt me. And that happened a lot in my childhood, right? Yeah. And so to realize that through that time, I mean, I was like, I had to go to God. It was the only thing that made sense. And he did show up. Like I felt his love. I felt consolation. I felt able to forgive people who had hurt me, and experienced him deeply in mass and adoration.
Right.
That to now, that's, the one thing, the one person I can trust. Oof, like I'm starting to feel like they can't show up for me.
Right.
That's a huge...
It's a huge loss.
It's a huge loss. There's so much grief in that. And I just felt it so immensely without even recognizing it. And I've been kind of living in a fog of that, where I'm like, why am I having such a hard time praying? Why, like, am I feeling depressed and hopeless? Like, I have so many things going for me. I know, I'm trying to do, the right thing and be a coach and enter my like path, of my mission. And I should feel purpose-filled and optimistic and excited, and I'm not feeling that way because I've like lost basically a limb or an organ is what it feels like.
That primal trust that you need.
And that connection.
Sense of security.
That sense of security. So I think what you're saying kind of is I had to tell them. I had to tell God, I don't trust you. I had to admit it. Yes.
I had to admit it, and I had to admit it to the person that I was I was having, this aggravation with. Right. I had to.
Right. Because it's your responsibility at that point. When I recognize I have a resentment, I have an aggravation, I'm hurt by somebody, and I see that they don't know that I'm hurt in this way or whatever. It's my responsibility to take care of myself in my relationship by expressing this thing. Sure. And that's the only way I can move forward.
Oh, true. Yeah. If you tuck
There's
it
no
down,
other way to move forward.
It shows up
You can't go over.
Yeah, it shows up in ways you don't want it to.
Right.
Which is why you describe, your relationship with God is on the rocks.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like
it's just rocky.
It's foggy. There's
Mm-hmm.
no light.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm like inscribed on the front of the like RSV Ignatius Bible.
Yes.
Is Christ, and he's holding what looks like tablets, and inscribed on there is, "I am the light of the world.
Yeah.
He who follows me will not walk in darkness, but will
Right.
Walk in the light of life."
Right.
And truly, that
Mm-hmm.
darkness, oh my gosh, it can come from so many places: external
Right.
circumstances, hopes and desires that have been crushed. It can also come from our own sin, right? All these different things that can darken your ability to see clearly, right?
Yeah.
And pain and sorrow can do that. And I think it also can be illuminating too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I wonder if God allowed you to feel this so as to come to maybe this
Right.
realization that there needs to be a reckoning between you and him.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of starts with you.
Mm-hmm. And that what's exciting for me about it is it's just going to make my relationship with him better. Because before,
Yes.
I didn't
That's
realize
the hope.
that I had this kind of caveat going on, where like I could lose trust in him,
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
I think I had this thing where I didn't know, like I was kind of half in, half out if I was going to get to the point where I'm like, oh, I can't trust him, like, or I'm disappointed, or I'm putting these expectations on him that are very human, these human attributes on him. So now going through this, I'm realizing I just can only grow stronger in my relationship with him through this experience. And I've even recently, we were talking, I think I told you about this. I've been casually dating.
Mm-hmm.
So many of my stories are going to be dating stories, which is maybe embarrassing, but it's my
There's
life.
probably a young lady out there who needs to hear it.
Yes.
And a young man.
No,
so
because I mean, a lot of,
go
I'm
off.
25 and single, right? There's a
Right.
lot of us out there. There's
Right.
a lot of Catholic, Christian, single people out there. So I think it's helpful. And, right, this is a big part of the feminine heart is to desire a relationship, marriage, and children. So
would you say to be wooed, to be sought after?
yeah, to be delighted in,
in.
to be captivating, and
right.
captivating.
All the chapter headings of
Yes.
captivating.
Yes, The Captivating by John and Stasi
Yep,
Eldridge
yeah.
is very good, and that's where I'm getting a lot of this from. But yeah, like, and I desire to have children and be in my vocation,
Right.
and so that wounding was so
great.
big, not because I'm just like I like to date, whatever. Like I'm
No.
not being like
But you felt like you lost
frivolous
all of
about that. I lost a lot of things. Yeah, in that, a lot of hopes and dreams were like lost in that loss and that breakup. And it wasn't like my heart was broken in the sense of like, when you've had a heartbreak, imagine your like first like relationship and the heartbreak there's like, ooh, like really
Stings,
intense.
yeah.
It was more like the more heartbreaking thing was my relationship with God and was the loss of like those dreams. It wasn't like I don't think we had gotten to a point where I was like deeply or madly in love and then my heart's broken. It was more, oh my gosh, all of these dreams and expectations that I had and things that I desired are lost, and my relationship with God is now rocky. And that was the more heartbreaking thing. What was I going to say though? Yeah. So recently I've been kind of casually dating and I've found, I think it's so interesting, as my relationship with God has gotten more rocky, I am more insecure. I am so much more insecure in relationships and in how I am like assuming men are perceiving me or if they like me or not, and that I'm like putting so much more into that because that deep trust and surrender I have with God is now rocky, and I put so much of my confidence in that. So realizing I had a moment where I'd like gone on a date, and then this is so funny if these people watch this, but I'd gone on a date and there wasn't like an immediate follow-up of like, that was so great, like I'd want to see you again.
Yeah.
So I was like,
just
oh
silence.
my gosh, like I thought I had such a great time. Like, like, does this person not like me? Like, what did I do? All of the things, all of the
Your mind was going
overthinking
A
that's going on.
beehive.
And that I just felt like, again, like I had gotten really excited about something, and I felt that it hadn't hadn't even been 24 hours, but I was feeling really disappointed and I'd been experiencing things like that recently where maybe I, had a crush on someone and realized, oh, they don't like me. And that just felt super disheartening, especially because my confidence and my trust in the Lord was so shot that before it would be they're not my man.
Yeah.
They're just not my man, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because God has a plan.
Right.
And I completely trust in him. And I know he loves me. And I know he created me beautiful and all of these different things.
Yeah.
And then it was oh, I don't know those. I don't know that anymore. I don't feel sure of that anymore. Right. So I was at Mass the next day after that date. Oh, my gosh. So unwell. I was so unwell. I'm trying not to be dramatic about it, but I really...
You're sanguine. It's okay.
I'm sanguine, and I'm usually pretty well, things roll off, whatever. I was distraught in Mass. And I think it was a culmination of so many things. I don't want to say I was just distraught because this guy hadn't expressed if he wanted to go on another date with me. That was not the case. That was the cherry on top of everything I've been expressing, this darkness, this kind of depression, this... I don't know. I'm lost. There is no light. I am lost. Where am I going? Which is so confusing when it's okay, I'm working and I have really great friends. I have all of these things that are so amazing. Yeah. I've been given so many gifts. I'm blessed. Beyond, it's insane to me. I don't deserve it at all. And yeah, I'm still here, feeling really sad, feeling really lost, feeling really depressed. And this is just the cherry on top to all of those things. Right. This thing I thought I felt sure in, that I'm fun and pretty and I like going on dates and I don't know, I had a good time, and that's a space that I felt so confident in the past was just starting to crumble. So it's okay, what's going on? And I'm crying. Can't stop crying in Mass. Yeah. Can't stop. It just was just flowing. And the prayers of the faithful came up, and it's your intentions, whatever intentions you might have. And I was God, I literally have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah.
At all what I need. I don't know. I just need you to do it. I can't do it anymore. I just need you to do it. You
weren't even sure of your intention. You're just
I have no idea. Is it in regards to... It was this is in regards to my whole life. How I'm feeling about all of life, not just dating, whatever. But I have no idea what I need, and I need you to do it for me. Yeah. Which, in my absolute, I think, low, in my despair, the only option was to surrender. Yeah. And be I need you to do this for me. Which is so
that's
cool.
Good. No, that's a good point. The surrender piece is vital.
Is vital.
For this.
And you were saying that earlier, and this made me think of that. I think because what a gift faith is. Because even through everything I'm describing, I have not lost my faith. Right. I have not felt like I want to leave the church or not believe in God anymore.
Good.
So I think he's given me that gift. What a gift. Not everybody has that, right? I've made certain devotions to him throughout my life where I've pretty much said I'll never give up. I'm always coming back here, you know? Yeah. So I think in that, I couldn't go low and be I'm done with this. The only, the lowest I could go was, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I need to surrender my life to you because I need your help so badly.
Well, I think you were presented with a choice.
Right.
You could choose in this despair. You could reject everything.
Yeah.
But instead, you had I think this is cool.
Yeah.
That your emotional relationship with God was on the rock. It was chaotic. Mm-hmm. However, you brought your physical self to Mass. You were in Mass. You placed yourself in the pew.
That's so true.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
I really
it was the
there.
Grace. Fair enough. But you were there.
Yeah.
And the grace of that holy sacrifice of the Mass, I think, allowed you to make the better choice of surrender. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was there. He was present.
He was literally there.
He was there. All the graces are there. Yeah. That's so wild. I didn't even think about it that way. I think you're so right. Yeah.
And I think we're always confronted with those choices.
Right. Right. And I didn't even like see it as a choice, you know?
Right.
Which is a gift.
Yeah.
But that's just really beautiful and cool. And I loved that. I loved that it was in Mass. And I was still emotional all throughout Mass. I still kept on
Sure.
crying after that. It wasn't like immediate, like a whoosh over me. And I'm like hopeful again. But the funniest thing is so emotional, so emotional. I feel like whatever. I don't know anything. I don't know if, men will like me ever again, and if I'll ever get married, and if I'm going to be successful, whatever, at work. I don't know anything.
So many unknowns.
Crying, leave Mass, and I get in my car, go to a gas station. As I pull up to this gas station to get gas, I get a text from the guy asking me on a second date.
Okay.
I was like, okay. Like, I'm not crazy.
Felt good.
That felt good. And then in the span of 5 more minutes, I get another text from a guy I had gone on a date with that anyways, I'm not going to get into that. Didn't really know if it was a date or not, asking me on another date.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And this might seem frivolous to a certain degree, like the idea of like these guys asked me on another date and that's all I needed or whatever.
You're right, yeah.
And it was not all I needed.
Right.
Because what was it exactly that he was doing? To me, it was like, oh, I literally surrendered to you and you showed up for me. You showed up. And I had been having conversations with him. I had been having conversations with my therapist, with some friends, realizing like months later after this relationship ended that, oh my gosh, I don't trust God. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to. And I don't know what to do here. Right? I'd had those conversations. So I realized in those moments, like, I just felt like a little kid, and I was like, oh my gosh, like he's saying like, hey, I am here. I will show up for you.
Right.
And then I came home and I had a letter from like the IRS, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to know.
Good.
I was like, what? I don't want to know. Did I do my taxes wrong? Like, I don't need this right now. And it was like, you overpaid in your taxes, $300. And I was like, wow. Yeah. Wow. So in like 2 different areas that are of stress to me, finances, always feeling stressed about those things. Yeah. Men and finances. That's so funny.
You know what's cool is that I think you could replace the word surrender with trust. You trusted.
Right.
Right. Surrender is trust.
Right.
Because you're trusting whatever is going to happen. You trust that it'll turn out okay.
Yeah.
So you had this like just visceral moment of,
I have to trust this guy.
I just have to trust God.
Yeah.
So here it is. Here's my emptiness. Here's my darkness. Here's everything.
Yeah.
Do with it what you will.
And he like immediately showed up, which I just felt like a little kid getting a gift. Yeah. I was like, oh, he's just so
sweet.
He's so seeing me in this. Yeah. And maybe that seems like, even to me, I'm like, I have experienced a lot of different things in my life. I know these like casual dates that I'm going on are not the end all be all. Like, are not like so huge. And
the desire of these men and seeking you and trying to woo you, like that's not, you're right. I think you healthily see that that's not.
Right. It's not like this. I'm like working through the trauma of my abuse or something like that. It's like not the same thing. Right. But it was really important to me at that point. Yeah. It was really important, and I was not feeling seen, and he knew that, and he showed up, and it's just like a little gift.
So what do you do with the gift?
Right.
Now that you're removed from it.
You know what's so interesting is it hasn't been this like perfect thing. Like, I'm pretty sure I've still like cried myself to sleep a few times since this all happened. Yeah. I'm still working through like these moments, and I think this has been so helpful for me on my healing journey. Is that not to expect these moments to be everything. Like, that was just a moment of mine and God's relationship where he was coming through, but it doesn't heal all my wounds. Right. It doesn't take away all my pain and my suffering, and I'm not just, now I'm good, I'm back at it, you know what I mean? There's still so much to move through and to work through. So it's all I can do is take from the gift is like, oh, God does show up. And so I'm building that trust is like, it's building back up. And it's still not perfect. Surrender is hard. I
Yes.
don't know.
It's humiliating.
It's, yeah, you have to be so humble and so childlike and trust so much and, like, let go of your desires. Even good desires, potentially. Right? And
Oh, yeah.
that's so hard. I don't know if I've ever met anyone who's like, yeah, like, surrender. Just, like, I'm so good at that. Like, I don't think, like, that's just yeah. So it's not there's this clear path, boom, and then surrender, and I'm good. And I'm going to live my life in peace and in total trust of God and in total trust that, like, my life is going to, there's a lot of work
everything
to
will
be
work
done.
out.
Everything will work out.
As I think it will.
Right.
It'll be smooth.
Because surrender has to be, like, I'm so okay with God's plan for my life. And though I have no idea what it is. It
makes me think of
I have to be okay with it.
every apostle who was
Right.
completely
Oh, he was just like,
martyred.
drop everything. Yes.
And had they known that how they were going to be, like, I think it's St. Bartholomew who was filleted.
Oh.
And, like, had he had known that that was his his end, that would change everything, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But his trust along the way was deeper and
that.
foundational, and he was able to say yes to that kind of suffering.
Yeah.
It's an extreme example, but
yeah,
I think
it's hard for me to think
but
about.
I think that is just every human they have to trust in the present moment of today, God, completely. Because I don't know, I think when we think too far in the future, it just creates havoc, and we just get anxious and scared and depressed and all this stuff. And I don't know. That moment in Mass seemed so. I wonder if it was very. You just were like, I am here right now, dying. It feels like, and I just have to offer up this void.
Right.
So I'm presently here. I don't know what the future holds.
Yeah, and I think the big piece of it was that I don't know. I can't do it, because how many of us are walking through, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take care of this, and I'm going to take care of that, and I'm going to make myself successful, and I'm going to pray enough to do this thing, and, like, me, I'm in control.
Ooh,
and there's something, I am so grateful. I'll go through everything I was feeling again and again and again, just to know I don't have to do it by myself.
Right.
And that, like, he's gonna.
Right.
This is a relationship. That this relationship, right, is so similar to marriage. This beautiful thing where you become one with somebody. You make decisions together. You support each other.
Yeah.
And that's, what I want my relationship with the Lord to be like. We are always making decisions together. Like you, and he is the man. He is the leader.
Right.
He is guiding me.
Yeah.
And I can't do it by myself, and I don't want to do it by myself.
Right.
And I would just take that over and over and over again to just start this journey I think I'm on, where I think for the first time in my life, I'm actually on a journey towards surrendering and towards trusting him and towards peace. And it's really funny because throughout this time, right before this happened, that Mass moment, someone recommended Searching for and Maintaining Peace by Jacques Philippe. And which has been mentioned throughout my whole life. And I'm sure many Catholics have heard, read this book, it's so great. Like you have to, like we've heard with many other great books. And I finally decided, I don't know. I was like, okay, bought it on Audible, listening to it in my car.
Yeah.
And it's everything that I'm talking about, everything that I'm realizing that I struggle with. And that has been such a huge part that if I don't trust God and believe in God and, like, have this faith that he has a good plan for me and have goodwill towards him and surrender towards him, like, I'm never going to be at peace.
Right.
And I've never been at peace in my life, really. Maybe moments, right? We have these, like, little tangible moments at times. But that is what depression and anxiety is.
Yeah.
I am not at peace.
The loss of peace. Yeah.
I'm not at peace. I don't know. I'm scared. I'm unsure. I can't trust. I'm hopeless.
Yeah.
And that's a big part. Like, if I believe God is who he says he is, I have hope in his promises.
Yeah.
Because he always fulfills his promises. He never, it's not human. It's not like, you're like, man, I couldn't make it. Sorry, I couldn't make it. I lost track of time. Oh man, like I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Like I just didn't want to enter it. I didn't have the space for this. Like he always keeps his promises. And what are his promises?
Great question. What are his promises?
That if we trust him and believe in him, we have eternal life in heaven with him, right? That he died on the cross, that like my sins are forgiven.
Yeah.
Right.
If you confess with your mouth and believe with your heart,
right.
Jesus is Lord.
Right. And that he already won. He already won.
Right.
I think we forget that all the time.
Yeah.
Like he already won. I don't need to do something so God can win or so that I can, right? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like Absolutely. He already won. The only thing I need to do really is surrender.
I think the Bible uses that same concept and maybe use the word repent. Yeah. It's this idea of acknowledging.
Right.
It's not only acknowledging your wrongdoings.
Yeah.
It's that and acknowledging this inability to save yourself. This inability,
right.
I cannot do it.
Right.
I cannot fulfill the law. I cannot fulfill the covenant. I can't do this at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, like.
And I need the Savior. I need the Savior. Need. Underline. Need.
Not want or. Oh, that sounds nice. Like need.
Right.
To breathe, to live.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the way you need air.
Yeah. And I just think our wounds, sin, all of these things, this darkness that we're talking about, they need to be acknowledged and brought to God so that we can surrender. And I think it's
like bringing light into them.
Exactly. And that's where I think it's hard where we might think, I might have thought, okay, I'm maybe not trusting in God. I'm just going to pray and pray and pray and pray and pray. And it's going to somehow work itself out.
Yeah.
If I don't know what to pray about or what to bring to God, if I don't know that, like, where is this lack of trust rooted in? Where is this wound? Like, what is really going on here? Let me get curious. Let me ask questions. Let me maybe talk to somebody that can help guide me through this thing. If I can't bring my wounded child to God and be like, here you go, or my protector part that was angry and wants to push everything away so that I can just so that I can keep on living without maybe being so depressed I don't want to be here anymore or whatever it might be. Yeah. That I need to be able to see those things and bring them to God. I can't just say, oh, like something's wrong. Maybe if I just go to Mass all the time, it'll like just fix itself. If I don't know what to bring to offer to Him, if I don't know where I need the light, it's going to stay in the darkness. I mean, God can do anything, and I think He does that through, counseling and through conversations with friends and that where things are brought to the light. That's what I've been experiencing these past, few months is like, like in conversation with a friend, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize how much that relationship affected me.
Yeah.
Until I was like out with friends one time, saw someone who looked like this guy, and anxiety welled up in my body. I felt like crying. I felt uncomfortable. All those feelings I was expressing earlier really came to light. And I was like, what do you mean? I was fine.
Yeah.
I was fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize like it was a extremely hard experience that I had. And so I never brought it to God in that way because I didn't know that it was affecting me like that. And so I think God can do anything, right? He can work through anything. He could snap His fingers and I could have been healed of, all of those things. And I understand that. But that's not how He always works. I think God is a gentleman and He's soft and quiet and gentle and, wants to move us and wants it to really so much be our choice. because that's where real love is.
Mm-hmm.
That, yeah, over the course of a whole year, basically, it's almost been a year, he's really been slowly moving me to even be able to realize I have these wounds that I didn't know I needed to bring to him.
Yeah. And
it was not until I was like, oh, literally, here is my wounded child. Like, I am not trusting you. I don't trust you. This hurt. This whole situation was so hard. I hated it. Like, I hated being in it. Like, I felt like a little kid thinking about it and, like, being in a situation where I'm so uncomfortable and, like, stressed, and I hated it. And I didn't feel like you were there.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's not your fault. I know that's kind of just how, life is. Like, it's not your fault that this happened this way, but I felt maybe like it was, and that's valid. And I want to bring this to you.
Right.
Valid, is valid the right word I want to use there?
I think it was just...
It's just
real.
what it is?
It's real.
It's just real?
Yeah. It was what you were feeling.
Yeah, it's just what I was feeling.
With the knowledge you had, with the experience you've had.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I guess it's what you do with that.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Eventually you chose surrender. And you choose it every day.
Yeah, I'm still
working on it.
I think
it's small step. I think it's small moments of trust.
Right.
Right. It can't always be these giant moments of
my experience
surrender.
At mass. Mm-hmm.
Right. Which is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. God works in the mundane often.
Right. Yeah. Just like the simple, honestly, what it feels like to me recently is I'm anxious, I'm stressed. I feel like I have a million things to do all the time, right? I was having a conversation with my friend Kat. What was I saying last night? With my roommate and my good friend Kat last night. And I was like, I always thought I wanted to work. Like, to be a mom even, and, like, still have a job and work a little bit.
Like
and
part-time.
I'm passionate about things, and I'm excited about things. And I was like, I think for the first time in my life, I'd be so okay with, like, never working again. Because that's not because I don't like the work that I do or anything like that, but I have wounds that make me unequipped unequipped for the things that I'm doing. That then brings around stress and anxiety, and I have lies that I'm not showing up, and that I'm not good at what I'm doing. All these things I'm working through, you know. So it builds up stress. I feel like I put things off, or I freeze a lot in this space of feeling like I'm not capable. And so I feel anxious. And I just feel like, oh man, I'm tired of taking care of myself. I just get to a point. I think, like, maybe especially as a woman, I'm sure men feel this way, but, like, men are, like, supposed to provide and take care of, and that's kind of like a thing where maybe you're more equipped to handle the aspects of that because you were made for it, potentially. This is kind of conjecture. I don't really know how men feel.
Ooh.
But
no, I would agree.
Yeah, we're like,
Something
I
about
am
that.
kind of just like,
It's true.
I don't want to take care of myself anymore. I, like, want someone to, like, pay the bills and to tell me, like, what to do.
Well, yeah, because I think it frees you up to do those things that you were made for.
Right. Exactly. So we were just having this funny conversation where I was just like, I just don't want to do it anymore. At the same time, that there's multiple things that can exist at once. I feel overwhelmed and stressed about work, right? But at the same time, I'm called to do this.
Right.
God, directed me.
It's where you're at right now.
It's where I'm at. And all these feelings I'm having and these lies and beliefs are kind of welling up this anxiety. And what is that? That is lack of peace. That is lack of trust. That in my littleness, in my weakness, in, these things that I find really hard, can I just, like, surrender those things and be okay with them? Can I be okay with how hard this kind of thing is for me? That work is, like, very hard for me, and staying on top of things and making sure everything's on my schedule and responding to emails and whatever, like, that's really difficult for me. It doesn't feel like I can just, lock in and get things done. That's not, whether that's ADHD or being super sanguine and not really being motivated by these things. I find it really difficult. And I'm constantly beating myself up for it. And what surrender is starting to look like for me is like, okay, I'm going to show up my best today. I'm going to pray before work. I'm going to show up my best and try to get stuff done. And if I don't get everything done, I don't get everything done. And that's not me, kind of they talk about in the book, like, I'm not resigning myself to being unvirtuous in searching for and maintaining peace, right? in accepting our littleness and our failures and our, imperfections. It's not saying, oh, I'm just not going to try or work hard. That's not what it is. It's actually like the way in which I'm constantly thinking about my failures is not surrender.
Right.
And is not trust. Do I think God is not powerful enough to work within my littleness? That's kind of scary, because like I know he can,
Well,
and
yeah.
I don't want to. What an offense to him to be like, oh, you can't do this, you can't work with me.
Can't use me.
And somehow I'm so prideful, like I'm beyond his help or something, or I don't know.
Dang.
So, anyways, that's really what that's been looking like for me. It's just like, okay, even today, I have to leave at 3. I am stressed about that. Whatever. But that's how it's going to be. And I'm going to do my best and sit down and have a chat with my friend and just try to glorify God and be at peace with what this day is going to look like.
Right.
And it's really hard when you're so used to being stressed, being anxious, and
almost like
feeling
that's
like you're not doing it.
for you to get stuff done. The anxiety and all that is almost fuel to get you going.
Right.
It's almost like this is what I know, and this is what motivates me, and this is what like pushes me forward.
Right. And this is what I've been comfortable with. It's really actually almost my whole life, right? That I'm used to this. This is how my brain is wired a certain way even.
This peace thing is new, huh?
What?
This peace is new.
Yeah.
Feels funny.
Yeah. I think there was like something that I think I thought was peace was my I would like maybe act like things don't matter, or
be nonchalant
about things, or just be like super optimistic. Or I'm trying to just think like, there's probably never been a ton of peace. I think I assumed that peace was like I wasn't anxious in the sense that like I wasn't like overthinking everything that I said or did. I experienced anxiety from my friends in high school as like oh my gosh, like, am I going to do okay on this test? Like freaking out about a test, or freaking out about, and it like very visibly, actively, like hyper activated stress, anxiety. Whereas my anxiety is very internal. And I didn't realize, and it didn't really actualize physically for me for a majority of my life. Because I had a lot of walls up, and I just thought, I was like, I'm so phlegmatic and I'm so whatever, and like, you guys are freaking out about, I've had trauma, and I've experienced really hard things that, oh my gosh, you're like freaking out about things that don't matter. So it was almost like my threshold for things was really high. Yeah. So it just didn't actualize in a way that I thought anxiety was, because everyone was like, who told me they had anxiety, I did not experience what they were experiencing. But it was just a lot of internal things going on. Yeah. And now I experience it a little bit more physically, because I allow myself to. I don't even think I really allowed myself to when I was younger. But I guess what am I even talking about? Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of peace. Yeah. Probably majority of my life.
How funny.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like peace can only exist in you if you acknowledge anxiety, the places of disturbance.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, what if you don't even know you have places of disturbance because you're so used to it? You've been living with it forever. Well,
that's probably why God puts us in very uncomfortable and awkward places to reveal to us, like,
yeah. Or he just like lets things get so bad. And maybe that sounds rough to say, but sometimes like, he just like lets things get so bad. Sure. You have to ask for help. Yeah. You have to ask for help. And then when you ask for help, things come to the light.
There is never not a moment where you need God, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, you always need to be dependent on God. Mm-hmm. Like, your entire existence only happens because of your dependence on his existence. Like, right. I don't, there's never a moment in your life where you don't need God. And that's a very weird thought compared to what we're swimming in nowadays. And
yes, because we don't even, because it's hard to think about that. Yeah,
it's very kind of scary, vulnerable, and the unknown. Like, what is it? Well, therefore, I can't control a lot of things. I have to admit that I can't control a lot of things.
Yeah. yeah. Do you feel like, expand on the control thing for me, even maybe what you experience with your clients or what you've experienced in your own life. Like, how does control show up?
Yeah, well, we have desires and things we want, and I can only speak to as like, 21st century American male.
Right.
But it feels like independent and strength, independence and strength are values that we imbibe often. And so having a sense of control by way of, I am responsible and have power over these things, really kind of like informs my identity in a lot of ways, right? It affirms a lot of my own efficacy,
Right.
like as a man, as a person, as a husband, and as a citizen of this country. It's like control seems to be important, but when you just start reading scripture, when you start just understanding God more, you realize how not in control you are.
Yeah.
And I think relinquishing control doesn't, therefore, you're not relinquishing responsibility. I think you're relinquishing just the outcome. You're relinquishing maybe even your very desires for things to be shaped and formed by other desires that are good and that more align with God's will. So I think God gave us free choice and free will, and so we do have choice, and therefore there is some amount of control we have. But I think it's always should be aimed at almost aligning it with His will. Our will aligns with His will, and that is very. Why is that awkward? Why is that weird? I don't know. That's just like a.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like maybe culturally,
sin.
it's just so not. It's just not culturally normal to be like not to be okay with not succeeding,
Right.
to be okay with a relationship not turning out the way you want it to, or
Right.
and there's just so much even like in the self-help mental health space of like do all these things and it's gonna turn out this way.
Right.
I don't know. There's just so much there's so much comfort in if I do it a certain way, it's
Right.
going to turn out the way I want it to.
Oh yeah.
And this
Very
idea
selfish.
that it's this perspective shift or reframing. If my will is aligned to God's will, I only want what God wants for me.
Correct.
And that's good. And so then I'm fine with whatever
highest
happens.
good, yeah.
Then I have to be fine with whatever happens because I only want what God wants for me versus like I have desires. I have all these things that I want. I'm comfortable, whatever. We're in America. Like we're so comfortable.
Right.
We have so many
things.
things.
And there's things that are desirable that like these will make me happy or these will fulfill me very much. Even good things like family
Right.
and living in a house and your neighbors you like and a town you like and having a good life. I mean, those are not bad. Those are
Right.
good. However, it just may not be what God has in store for you.
Right. Because there's so many different kinds of goods.
Right.
So it doesn't have to look a certain way, or I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't have to look the way we think it does.
We think it does.
Yeah.
And
which is like
yeah.
terrifying.
Well, yeah,
because I think I know
I know what I want.
It's almost like I think I know what I will make me the happiest, the most fulfilled.
Right.
It's like that is not true.
And it's
I've
just-
been alive 30 years. I don't know
it's
how to
just
make
pride.
myself that happy.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's totally just pride, right? Like I know what's best for me.
Yeah.
And where did I get that notion from? Have I been doing a good
I don't
job
know.
of it? No. I've been in control. I've been trying to do all of these things and I'm still unhappy. You like have to get to a point where you realize that like I'm imperfect and I'm a sinner. I want to
Yes.
do good things and still do the bad thing
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
why would I want to listen to myself?
The heart is deceitful.
Yes.
Above all else.
That's so funny.
I think that's why there are external things we can anchor ourselves to.
Yeah.
Like Sunday Mass.
Mm-hmm.
Like the feast days.
Mm-hmm.
Like other like our
The saints.
families, the saints.
Yeah.
Like there are other things that will just orient us to the ultimate good.
Right.
Right.
The church, I mean, the guidance of the church it's unbelievable.
It is
The church fathers,
Oh
the
my
theology that we have at our fingertips.
a gift.
It's so
Absolute
wild.
gift.
So it's like I want all the other voices in my head, not of the world.
Right.
I want like all the other heavenly voices in my head. I want to listen to the church fathers. I want to listen to great saints, great Catholics, the Pope, whatever it might be.
Even your local priest.
Your local priest.
I think there's something important about that. Yeah.
Right. Like have relationships with sisters and and that's the book talks about this too, and I was kind of surprised. It's like you need to talk to somebody about things. You need to go to somebody and express your thoughts and your feelings and what's going on with you. And I think there's something like we are made for community. We are communal beings. Mm-hmm. Of course, we need to bring the deepest desires of our hearts to other people and be vulnerable and connect, or else we will not experience love. And I have to do that with God, or else I am not experiencing the fullness of my relationship with him.
Absolutely. I think you do that first.
Yes.
I think you do that first.
You do that first. Or in bringing your vulnerable self to somebody else, they guide you to God. Mm-hmm. And they help encourage you to go to him. And there's so much healing through that, or we see God through other people. Just God has spoken to me through other people in so many aspects of my life.
We don't do this life alone.
Right.
Nobody does.
Right.
No one's a self-made person. And
that's another piece of surrender. You can't have surrender without vulnerability. And I don't think you can have love without vulnerability.
Correct.
And there's no point in living life without love.
Amen.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's horrible.
It's a void.
Yeah, such a void because we're literally made for it. So it's like, it would be like, living without your heart.
I'm going to try. Have you seen the new Marvel movie?
No, which one? The
Thunderbolts?
Yeah.
Weirdly profound and amazing.
Really?
I know. It was
I haven't
wild.
even seen a trailer for it, so like honestly, I hear Thunderbolts and I'm like, what on earth
It
is
sounds
that?
silly and dumb.
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of is in a lot of ways.
But that's
however, there's a spoiler. There's a character in there who experiences depression and despair so profoundly that it swallows the whole world.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. And that's the enemy of this movie is despair almost. And when you let it, and what's interesting is that it's him versus him in the end, which, of course, that'll lead to more despair. Like the void will consume everything, everyone around you. And what saves him is other people. Right. Is
who love
not
him.
Violence. Yes. And not even like a romantic, it's just it was friendship that saved him.
Right.
And it wasn't corny or cheesy. It was like this profound moment of he is no longer alone.
Yeah.
And it was just very creative and visibly just striking. And I loved it.
Wow.
And it speaks of this idea of we are not meant to be alone.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I can see why your desires for a husband, for these just beautiful things are so profound. Those are good. Those aren't bad. They have to be, though, surrendered
to him
unto his will. And who will fulfill them?
Right.
He gave them to you.
Yeah.
He'll fulfill them how he does.
Yes. Yeah. And it will be good. And I will be taken care of.
Yes.
And I will never be alone.
Right.
Yeah. And that might be the life. I never get married. I don't have kids. Like, I'll be alone forever. I'll feel this thing forever. And those, like, lies that seep in. That's really cool. That makes me want to see this movie.
I know.
Which is something I never thought I'd say, that I'd want to go see Thunderbolts.
I've seen it twice. I'd see it again.
Wow. Okay.
But
I think
there's a difference
crazy.
Between aloneness and solitude.
Oh, give me more.
I think aloneness is that despair.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a despairing aloneness.
Mm-hmm.
It's a loneliness that is, I can't trust others.
Yeah.
No one will love me.
Yeah.
I'll always be alone.
Yeah.
But solitude is like, you can be comfortably alone, knowing that you are connected
Yes.
with the Lord ultimately.
Yes.
Is what it is.
Loneliness is like a state of being, and solitude is like an environment or like a thing you put yourself into.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like
There are desert
enter into
hermits
solitude.
who enter into solitude for years.
Yes.
And yet are spiritually alive and rich.
Yes.
And happy.
And not lonely.
They're happy.
And they're not lonely. And loneliness.
We've touched a lot of topics today.
We have touched so many topics.
Where's the plan?
Sanguines,
Sanguines, baby.
Sanguines. Just boom, 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 bang. Yeah, it's like these, of course, these things God made us for. We're made for love. We're made for community. Okay, you take away love. You take away community. Oh, you took away these things I need to for my soul to be well. Not just like my body, right? Like I'm being starved of something and when I talk about starvation, we need food.
That you were made for.
I was made for this. So you're taking away necessary, vital things to keep me alive.
Yes.
And I think that's an interesting aspect of mental health, of that where maybe things might get lost in the church. When we think about things like, oh, we don't need to go to somebody or whatever, we can just pray through it. That God gave us these needs, and let's be rational and let's use the things that He's given us to understand. I have deep emotional needs. I have deep relational needs. That it feels like, right? That's why we have suicide. It feels like we cannot live without them.
Yep.
So we don't. So we choose not to.
Yeah. And it swallows you whole.
And it's so tragic.
Yeah.
And it's so tragic. And so I think that that's just so interesting, that depression, right? It swallows your whole world. Your whole world looks dark.
Yes.
It's like in
you
Inside
have to
Out.
See this movie.
It's like in Inside Out. Remember when she gets depressed and then the kind of the colors dark. Change? Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's also a great one.
That is a great one. Profound.
Super profound. But no, that's so true. And I think within the surrender piece, what we're talking about, communal, relational, emotional, we need trust. We need trust. And that's, I think, really at the heart of this, like your relationship. If your relationship with God gets messy, I was seeing it infiltrating every single aspect of my life.
Right.
That I was lacking trust in God. Every single aspect of my life. And because this heart line, I guess, that I have with God was disrupted, I was starting to really feel the despair, feel the hopelessness. Yeah. And it was affecting so many layers of my life.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also trying to do this work and show up for my clients and show up for my friends. So overwhelming.
Yeah.
It felt so overwhelming.
You can't do it.
You can't do it. And truly, honestly, the moment I realized, not even the moment I realized, the moment I started actually talking to Him again and telling Him, I'm struggling to trust you. What do I do? Help me. Do it for me, please. Right. I can't do it myself.
Right.
It's not perfect. I'm still struggling through things. I'm working through things. But
I don't think perfection's the goal either.
And it's not the goal.
No.
And that's kind of the big point, I think. It's a big point of almost like all the work I'm trying to do with people. Is like, we're not getting to the end here.
Right.
We're not reaching this culmination where you can go off into the world and feel like, la-ti-da, I'm good, you know? That's not human. That's not human.
No, it's not.
That's not fallen human. That's for sure.
Correct.
And
side of heaven,
yeah, that's not happening here on earth. And that's something that is really important to come to terms with. Yeah. That it's just we're not going to experience a fullness necessarily here on earth. And so we're going to continue to feel our wounds, and we're going to continue to sin, and we're going to continue to feel a heaviness of not being in heaven.
That reminds me so much of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The journey.
Yeah.
However,
Have
laced
you read
throughout,
all those books?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Laced throughout all the journey
Mhm.
is this. I think you can pick up on it. Every step of the way is hope.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
100%.
That is the Christian hope
Mhm.
keeps us going.
And Samwise is Samwise
Ganji? Yeah.
Yeah, he's such an interesting character.
Yeah.
He's the hero.
He is the hero. Absolutely.
He's the friend who supports
Absolutely.
throughout the whole thing.
Right.
And we all need that.
Oh, we all need that.
We all need that. And
that hopeful
right.
banding together
and
is just vital to this life.
Yeah, and there was something so childlike. There's something so childlike and innocent about Samwise Gamgee. And
yeah.
I mean, I've only seen the movies. My dad loves it. Obviously, that's why we have Lord of the Rings here. And my dad loves all those, and he read us the books when we were little. But
what a good father.
I just know that that's so... As I think about it, I don't know if I would have recognized it.
Yeah.
But he was just, like, so cute and hopeful and, like, always trying so hard to support his friend.
He kept going.
And empathizing and seeing that his friend was going through something so hard and, like, trying to be there for him. Just really cool. So, yeah, wild. I just think we need all of these things. And God is trying to provide all of these things for us. That we have to work within it, though, right? Like, I think that loneliness piece, a lot of people today are experiencing loneliness.
Oh, it's an epidemic.
They don't feel connection with friends, with, maybe finding a romantic partner, even with their family. And that means, right, we have to work within that. We have our free will. God, everywhere there's great people. Everywhere there's people wanting to connect. What are you willing to do about it?
Who's your neighbor? Who's
Who are
the
you
person
do you talk to people?
Yeah.
Like, do you put yourself out there? Are you okay with being uncomfortable? And not to shame anyone for not having a hard time with this, because
it's a hard thing to do.
It's hard. It's scary.
It just takes courage.
It just really and surrender and say, God, give me courage.
Right.
God, give me courage to go to this thing at my church, go do pickup sports with somebody, and to be real, my authentic self, and to be vulnerable. Let me show up and be myself and ask good questions.
Right.
So that, and another way to look at it is like, what if I need to do that so that someone else isn't lonely? What if this is my calling? It's not just about me, that I can provide light and hope in someone else's life that might be experiencing something I'm experiencing. There is something so beautiful in that. Amen. In that I can take my wounds and the things that I have found sorrowful, surrender them to God, and He can redeem them into something even beyond not just me having a friend now and I'm good, but two people entering into a relationship, engaging in authentic, loving conversations and growing together.
Mm-hmm.
So redemptive, so beautiful. And only He can do that.
Right.
We cannot do that. Only aligned with the Holy Spirit and with His will can we experience redemption. So.
Amen.
Yeah. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Yeah. So if you're struggling to trust God, bring it to Him.
Yes.
Don't be afraid He's gonna be mad at you.
Right. Yeah.
Or don't be embarrassed about it. Like, enter into the human experience. Enter into how deeply we feel. We feel so deeply. We feel our wounds so deeply. Life is extremely difficult. It's not just like God is good, so everything's going to be okay. Like, don't push things under the rug. Don't over-spiritualize your life in a way where you're invalidating your feelings.
Yeah,
and the
gotta
things,
be authentic.
Yeah, that God gave. Like, God gave us these feelings for a reason. They're meant to be felt. They're meant to be brought to Him. They're meant to be brought to other people. We're meant to be vulnerable.
And they won't overwhelm you. They won't overwhelm you.
Even though
they
it
can't
feels like
get
they
bigger.
might.
Absolutely. I acknowledge that. And yet, they will never be bigger than you.
Yeah.
They'll never get bigger than you. And it may feel like it never ends, and it just continually happens. Mm-hmm. However, when you go through this process
Yeah.
of trusting God with that emotional gunk
Yeah.
and just everything there, he shapes it. Your emotions change.
Oh,
You actually become different.
Right.
And you can handle things better.
Right.
And you can acknowledge sadness, and then it goes away. That's how emotions are supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
So
They don't.
it gets
Yeah.
better. It does
Right.
get, you become more formed
Mm-hmm.
and better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I don't know, that's the great Christian hope, I think.